Over the last 3 years, I've been writing content and producing videos almost daily, and I want to share with you the blueprint that we use here at Thrive Themes, not just to make content creation easier, but to create content that actually drives revenue. Now, if you're a solopreneur or a small business owner, I get it. You probably have limited time for content creation, but here's the thing. You more than anyone else needs to be putting yourself out there. It's not just about boosting your search engine rankings and making your business easier to find, though, we're going to touch on that later, but it's also about building trust with your audience. The more articles you write, the more hours of video you put out there, the easier it becomes for potential customers to decide whether they trust you or not. I recently sat down with Syed Balki, the founder of WP Beginner, one of the most successful content marketing stories pretty much ever, and something he said really stuck with me.
People come for the product and stay for the community.
Now, what does that mean for you as a small business owner? Well, it means that you are the community. Your product or service might be amazing, but what's really going to keep people coming back, renewing their membership, or, staying loyal to your brand is the sense of belonging you create. People don't just buy products, they really invest in relationships. They want to feel like they're a part of something bigger. They want to know that, the person behind the business is someone they can relate to, someone they actually trust. And I actually see this every day here at Thrive Themes. Yes, our products are pretty awesome, but people love knowing that we're real human beings helping them out and that they can engage with us on Facebook, in the comment section, and so on. It all starts with showing up consistently and, most importantly, authentically through your content. And I can speak from experience, this is the hardest part because the return on investment is not immediate. It can take you months, heck, even years sometimes. In fact, Arno, what's the video that we published like years ago? I think it was like a video that I did on the difference between JPEG images and PNG and WebP formats and which ones you should be using on your site. We published that one video at least 2 years ago, and it's just starting to get some nice traction on YouTube out of the blue. But here's the thing, when you put yourself out there sharing your insights, your values, your expertise, and even your vulnerabilities, people start to see you as more than just a faceless brand. They see the real person behind the business, and that's truly where trust is built. But here's the kicker, showing up consistently isn't just about, churning out content for the sake of it. It's about being intentional. It's about creating a strategy that ensures your content not only reaches people, but that it truly resonates with them and moves them to take action. So what is the secret to making this happen without burning yourself out? The answer lies in having a blueprint and building a system that allows you to produce valuable content on a regular basis without it consuming your entire life. And that is exactly what I want to walk you through. First, let's talk about video. Here's the system that I've personally built to ensure I show up every week here at Thrive Themes. At the beginning of each quarter, Arno, who is our video editor among other things, and I sit down and organize the videos that we're going to be working on throughout the entire quarter. We do keyword research, we plan out what videos we want to be potentially ranking for, and we also obviously plan around product releases. If we know that a massive update is scheduled for then we leave some room for that in our schedule. This means that at the beginning of each quarter, I already know what content pieces I need to be working on each week. All I have to do now is show up and, get them filmed. And what I'll do sometimes is actually do things in bulk. So for example, I'll write the script for 2 videos and then record those 2 videos to make sure that I have enough breathing room throughout the next couple of weeks to, get other things done. It really makes it easier for me in my blueprint, at least. It really depends on your schedule and your agenda. But for example, short form content, I don't record shorts for Instagram and YouTube shorts and TikTok once a day. No, I'll sit down and work on 12 different shorts in one sitting to make sure that I don't have to pause my day every day and just record a short. That's just not a very efficient use of my time. But let's talk about getting videos filmed. First, you have to write a script, seriously. Unless your content is a podcast or like a talk show of some sort, you really do want to have a well-structured video. And this means having a script. I mean, this video, for example, has been scripted for the most part in full. Right now, I'm reading off of a teleprompter, for example. There's only 2 parts of this video that haven't been scripted, and you can probably tell which ones they are. Once you have a working script, which, by the way, feel free to use AI to repurpose it into a blog post. The cool thing about this is that when you're writing a script, you write in the same way as you speak. So it's really easy to just ask ChatGPT to respect the tone of your writing and just format your video script into a blog post. All right, now really let's talk about filming, because this truly is, in my opinion at least, the hardest part about showing up. You have to really build a system that makes it easy for you to film. Here's mine. Having a system that allows me to quickly go from ideation to recording is super important for me. If I had to be, dismantling cameras and tripods and lights and setting up microphones, that would probably take me at least 20-30 minutes every time I'd want to sit down and record something. It's just not efficient. So when I committed to recording at least 1 weekly video here at Thrive Themes, I really spent a whole lot of time and effort into building a system that would allow me to again go from ideation to recording in just a few clicks. In fact, let me show you how quickly it is. When I want to record something, all I have to do is come here over into this power outlet, turn it on. That turns on this main key light, and it also powers on the camera. I do have to power on the camera. I come over here and I turn on this other power outlet, and this turns on this key light. And then I can just come here and turn on this other power outlet, which is going to do a few different things. It's going to turn on my monitor, which is going to allow me to see myself and make sure that as I'm recording, the recording is working fine. And it also turns on this light and this light over here. That only took just a few seconds, right? And it really is that important for me to be able to do this quickly. Like I said, if I had to be setting up tripods and setting up my camera and setting up my lights every single time I wanted to show up and get the job done, it would be really hard for me to do so, because we're all, for the most part, really lazy bums, right? We really need systems that push us to get the job done. But just to be clear, because I know that there's people that are going to say, well, Tony, I don't have a recording studio in my home. You don't need one. Your system may very well just be a question of, drilling a tripod into your home office wall and setting up a camera there and just leaving it there. And that is your recording studio. Or buying a little bit of gear just to make sure that, hey, you've got good quality sound and good quality video, and that it's very easy for you to just turn everything on and get going with your recording as quickly as possible. The goal here really is to just build a system that works for you, and it doesn't have to be this fancy. It just needs to be one that really works for you and that makes you feel like you want to continue to get the job done. In fact, a lot of times I just simply record here in my office, and that's good enough. Once I've filmed, I'm fortunate enough to just be able to hand my clips over to Arno, who does his video editing magic for me. Video editing is something that if you don't know how to do, I strongly recommend you try to outsource, because a well done edit of your video can truly make a difference on the way it turns out. But, it also depends on the types of videos that you do. If you're recording tutorials on how to bake cakes, then, the video editing may be simple enough to just be able to handle it yourself. But really ask yourself, okay, is the quality of the video, or not the quality of the video, but the quality of the edit harming the overall result of the video? And if the answer is yes, then you may want to consider outsourcing that aspect of your filming to someone that actually knows how to edit videos. Okay, so this takes care of video, but let's talk about writing now. And to do that, I figured it would be best to just have Chipo, our main writer here at Thrive Themes, walk you through her blueprint. So Chipo, how many content pieces do you write and publish each week?
I write about 3 and publish, on average about 3. They're usually updates of older content which come in as well, but that varies. So I would say 3 to 4 pieces a week.
Do you have a system in place to make sure that you actually show up and actually publish 3 to 4 content pieces a week, which is what you've committed to do each week?
My process is really, I just prioritize. So the main thing is usually our new content, So I have a content calendar that has everything listed out, and then I already know what I'm walking into the week doing. So that's usually my priority, where I'm like, okay, cool, get these out of the way, because I have to. And also, like I said, I committed to doing it, so not doing it would be awkward. But yeah, so yeah, that's kind of what my system is like.
Can you walk me through really quick how you go from content ideation to, coming up with a first draft of a blog post to actually getting the blog post published?
Okay, yeah, sure. So when it comes to content ideation, I say we because I usually talk to Will, content marketing manager, about the different ideas that come up. So we base our ideas on what products we're dropping, and relevant topics that we want to talk about. So anything like SEO related, growth marketing, online marketing. And then we use a couple of tools for keyword research, SEMrush. This other one we use Low Fruits to get a cluster of topics. We discuss them. Though he does give me a bit of rein on what to choose, and I kind of just vary it on what did we talk about last month, what are some topics that I feel the audience would want to hear, and then from there we do outlines. I do outlines, and then I try to do about 3-4 a week, so that the outlines for next week are sorted. And then I dive straight into writing. Writing and editing kind of happens within a 1 to 2 day stretch, and then I put it up in Drive Architect and publish. So
How does the writing process look like? Are you literally just writing the whole thing yourself? Is there, is AI involved at any stage of the process?
I'd say it depends on the article. So for like our how-to tutorials, which is very like Thrive focused, those are very much I write as I duplicate it. So I actually have like a test site open when I'm trying to set up, like a content hub or a theme, so that I know the exact steps through and through, and then I take those notes and write them out myself. If it's slightly broader topics, I will use AI, where I kind of use it as an assistant. So I'll ask it, hey, what are some ideas, to see if the ideas that I found outside of researching on search engines can be included in the outline, and then I kind of just go straight in and write. Yeah.
Is there anything remarkable about your blueprint that makes you want to feel like, or say, okay, this makes me want to actually show up and get the job done? For example, I've made it super easy to just turn on a few power outlets, and I can just start recording in literally like 1 minute. I've made it that simple and that easy for me.
Yeah. I'd say the remarkable aspect of mine would just be the simplicity. I try to make it as simple as possible to get started, because one of my weaknesses is getting writer's block. So if I see a blank page, I am lost. It doesn't matter how simple the topic is. So that's where the outlines come in, and I usually just try to make sure I have that right there, bam. So when I have that process going on, it makes me feel like way better, and I'm like, okay, I can show up now fully clear-headed and stuff. So for me, it's try to keep the process as simple as possible, which can be a challenge sometimes, because we do have like some challenging topics, especially when it comes to setting up new tools. But the moment I kind of get that flow, for me, I'm like, okay, great, let me just dive in. I know what's going on here.
I was going to say, you write about pretty technical stuff sometimes, which means that it can get complicated to write about tech and how does software work and stuff, and explain it in a stupid simple way, so that people that don't know much about tech can follow through and understand your content. Which makes me wonder, do you allocate a specific amount of time for each post that you're gonna work on?
In a way, if I can put it that way. I'd love to say that like my process is like super like planned out, but it isn't. I kind of try to dedicate it according like to a day. So on a day, I'm like, hey, this is what I'm working on in terms of writing new content. And then I'm like, hey, Wednesdays, we're refreshing old content. But in that day, if it's planning, for example, I try to get the technical practice out during then. So when I'm working on an outline, I will have my test site open, and I'm like, okay, how do I set up a course in Thrive Apprentice? How do I set up a product? How do I add members? So that I know every little detail that's there. Because my mind is, if someone comes to this article and they use it as a tutorial and then they get stuck, that's on me, because I didn't explain it properly. So I need to make sure that in addition to explaining it simply, I cover like all the steps possible, which makes it easier to do when I've gone through every single part of the process. It does make the planning part a lot longer, because usually people think, oh, outline 5 to 10 minutes. I'm like, no, the outline sometimes even takes longer like than the article, because it's trying to get every single thing in there, so that when I'm writing, it's not oh, okay, I just wrote this paragraph, what happens next? Yeah, so it does get a bit challenging.
And just to wrap it up, Chipo, I'm actually really curious about this. When you're writing, are you at a point where you're writing for the reader? Do you, I mean, like, do you write for the reader? Do you write for the algorithm? Have you found a cool balance between, okay, I know that this is going to help my article rank a little bit better, but I also feel like readers are going to appreciate this writing style more? You know, how do you pick and choose? Is there a balance?
There is a bit of a balance, but I lean more towards writing for the reader, because it's kind of, I don't want to say it's the same, but when you make an article more readable, for example, putting in bulleted lists, style boxes to make things pop up, it makes it easier for them to read. But I also imagine that when a search engine is like crawling through it, they can pick out the information easier. So my mind is, when content is easy to understand and we make it like I point out, hey, this is important, pay attention to this part, they get it too. And then obviously putting in the keywords, I don't just see it as an SEO thing, because ideally when someone's reading, you'd like to put the keywords in throughout so they also know the main point of it. So it's kind of a balance. I don't necessarily think of the search engine more. It's more at the end of it, I'm like, okay, will both robots, something, be happy with what's going on here? And I'm like, okay, cool, I think this can work. And then in the update process, that's where I come back and see, okay, how did this perform? Okay, we need to optimize it here or there, and that's where I kind of try and make it appeal to search a bit more. Yeah.
Nice. Well, thank you, Chipo.
Thanks for having me.
Back to the studio. All right, let me just say that none of this matters if your content is not converting. It's not enough to simply produce content. You need to produce content that drives action, whether that's encouraging people to join your email list or book a consultation or buy your product. Your content should always have a clear goal in mind. For example, this content piece, like this video that you're watching right now, is not about our products or services. My goal with this video is to reach small business owners who may be struggling to build a system that allows them to create content consistently. And I know there's thousands of them out there. And if they find this video useful, hopefully they'll explore, more about this Tony guy with a funny accent and the tools that he's building. So to recap, if you're a small business owner struggling to find time for content marketing, you don't have to go at it blindly, like follow a proven blueprint. Show up consistently. And I know that this is the hardest part, because it takes time and it takes effort, but you have to do it and there's no other way around it. So make sure that you build a system that encourages you to show up, build trust through authentic content, plan strategically what each content piece aims to accomplish, streamline your process. And this ties back in with, building a system that pushes you to show up, and always focus on making sure that your audience is taking action. Like, make sure that your content is focused on driving action. I told you I was going to bring up SEO. Look, content marketing is crucial for your SEO strategy. Quality content doesn't just boost your business visibility, it helps you rank higher on search engines. It generates valuable backlinks, and it's going to help you, position yourself as an authority in your field. If you've got, 16 hours worth of video out there in the internet, that shows that, hey, you know what you're talking about and you've got enough knowledge to share with the world. The more high quality content you produce, the more opportunities you're going to have to attract organic traffic, earn backlinks, create opportunities to earn backlinks as well, which is sometimes forgotten. And, it's just going to help you grow your online presence. I really do believe that when done right, your content becomes more than just a marketing tool. It becomes the foundation that powers your business growth. And this is why these days you're seeing everyone and their dogs launch a podcast, because it's the content that keeps people coming back for more. And on the side, it also pushes them to buy people's products and services. All right, hopefully you liked this video and you find it useful. If you did, there's a beautiful subscribe button that you can click on to make sure that you don't miss out on future videos. And if you want to learn more about the, awesome tools that we're building to help business owners like yourself build their websites without writing a single line of code, there's a link in the description that you can click on. I truly, truly, truly appreciate your time, and I shall see you soon. Thanks again. Bye.